My wife, the sex worker. My ex and I met in college. She was the most beautiful girl I had ever seen and always had a crowd of guys following her around. I had some classes with her over the 4 years, but I never pursued her because of all the other guys. One day, after class, she asked if I would study with her, and the rest is history. So, we got married and started our careers in the same industry but at different companies. Since this was a male dominated industry, I found immediate success while she struggled. So, she changed jobs in the first year, but she still continued to struggle. In the third year, she became pregnant with our son. A few weeks after giving birth, in a routine physical, her doctor asked to do a biopsy of her cervix. The result came back and precancerous cells were found. The doctor advised us that if we wanted more children, it would be best to do it as quickly as possible, as this will likely progress and a hysterectomy will be needed. She gave birth again to a boy within a year of each other. Afterward, more tests were done and different doctors advised us to do the procedure now as we should not wait. With two babies, still infants, she had her procedure done. She was heartbroken that she was done having children, as we had planned for a large family. She became a stay-at-home mom and gave her all to being a great mother. Meanwhile, my career was moving along well, and I was offered a position with another company with a large salary increase. Life is good, or so I thought. When the boys went off to school, she volunteered at school and was a fixture there. I should also mention that we had close friends we went to school with, Anne and Brian. We saw each other often. They started their family about the time we did and currently have a lovely son. The families went on vacations together, dinners, outings. We were like best friends. After the son was born, Anne, the mother, went back to work and is very successful. Brian had a good job until about 2001, where his job was eliminated. He struggled to work in this field as the economy back then really affected his field. So, the decision was he would be a stay-at-home dad while looking for work where we lived, as they did not want to move. The wife and Brian did things together with the kids, and when the kids were all in school, they still would hang out. After about a year of this, Brian asked my wife if she and I had ever talked about a threesome. It was all fantasy talk with us, as we were still having a great sexual relationship. Brian had a friend he wanted to bring into the bedroom with them. The wife agreed. The day came, and this guy, we will call him Cameron, came over to Brian's house. So they had their threesome, and afterwards, the guy apparently left a couple $100 bills and asked my wife if he could have a one-on-one with her. She told him she needed to think about that. Eventually, Cameron recommended someone else and a business was born. Eventually, Brian was re-employed and had to leave my wife on her own. She began to use a different cell phone, rented out a storage unit and made it her office. She used the money to buy outfits which her clientele requested. She even bought a car. I guess that she did not want her minivan spotted at a hotel. She kept the car at the storage unit and all transactions were done in cash. She never brought the money into our lives, well, that I know of. Though, we would send the kids to different day camps during summer. She told me that she had tightened up our budget in order to pay for it. She only worked during school hours and always picked the boys up from school. On a few rare occasions, Brian would pick them up and keep them until she got home. Our home life never suffered. I admit I was working a lot and moving up the ladder, so much so that I didn't notice certain signs. The weekends were our family time. Sex was generally on the weekends. I thought because of my hectic work schedule that this worked best. Most nights, we would cuddle on the couch watching TV. 2016 comes along, and we have one son in college and the other a senior in high school. I get a call from Brian. My wife is in the hospital. He was vague, but said she is hurt bad. I rush to the hospital and see my wife hooked up to a bunch of machines. They had already cleaned her up and taken her for x-rays. She has a broken jaw, broken nose, fractured orbital bone, and a possible concussion. She will make it, but recovery will be a long road. A police officer was finishing up when I arrived. I, of course, want to know what happened. She was crying, talking gibberish through her sobs and pain meds. A nurse said I should let her rest. They were moving her to a room soon. The nurse handed me a bag with her clothes. I looked in and asked if these were hers because she never wears heels and the dress was unfamiliar. The nurse said, "This is what they brought from the hotel room." So they pushed me out of the room and I called my sons to let them know. Later that night, when the fog of the drugs were wearing off, I got some of the story. She drifted off again. I had my youngest son sit in with her and I called Brian. I had questions. Why did he call me? How did he know before me? What's going on? So Brian came clean about what my wife was up to, conveniently leaving out the affair and his involvement. I was devastated. We eventually got her home after surgery on her jaw. The nose would wait. She recovered at home. As she got stronger, I got the whole story. I called Anne and told her of the affair and Brian's role as a pimp. She threw Brian out. When my wife recovered and got on her feet, I told her we were done. I asked her to move out. And of course, she moved in with Brian. I then began the divorce process. I am now sitting here 5 years divorced. I still love her. It's as if she had died. The grief is unbearable. My sons know what she did, and I haven't spoken to her since she left.